Hello, this is Kathryn Ridall. Welcome to Dreaming in a Time of Pandemic. Today I'm going to explore a dream called A Gift of Cigarettes. This dream was dreamed by Matt Miller. Matt is 41 years old. He's a freelance journalist who lives in Chattanooga, Tennessee. At the time of this dream, he had been sheltered at home for 2.5 months with his wife and their 2 daughters who are 11 and 8. I should say that how I met Matt is that he was interviewing me for an article on dreams during the pandemic, and he shared during the interview this dream with me, and I was taken by it and asked him if he would participate in this YouTube series, and he said he would. The day before Matt had this dream, he had made an important decision with his sister. Matt is from Iowa, and every year in the summer, his daughters go to Iowa to spend 2 weeks with his sister. This is important to everybody in the family. However, this year, because of the pandemic, Matt felt like he needed to be present to watch after his girls, to keep them socially distant, not to put that kind of burden on his sister. So when he and his sister talked about it, his sister said, okay, I'll bring my family out to see you for 2 weeks. So his sister really gave him a gift and said, I'll come to you this year. Matt had felt excited about this. A part of him had felt a little bit niggling, like maybe this isn't quite right, but basically he had felt mostly excited about it. Then he had this dream called A Gift of Cigarettes, and the dream revealed something else entirely about how he was feeling about this plan. A gift of cigarettes. I receive a call from my sister. She tells me that she is going to die from heart disease later that day, but that before she does, she is going to send me her cigarettes. I don't smoke, and in the dream, I am sobbing about her impending death, but I'm also confused about why she is sending them to me. I want to send them to you, Maddie, she says, right before I wake up. Matt had done a great deal of work already on this dream before he and I talked. He's an experienced dream worker, and he had looked at the dream, and he also had taken some action based on the dream. In the dream, he was feeling so sad about his sister, her pending death, and he was feeling confused about the cigarettes. His sister's pending death and his sadness about it was not totally a surprising image for him. His sister had breast cancer several years ago, and she is a smoker. In addition to that, several members of his family died a couple of years ago, and so he's very aware of the fragility of life and also the fragility of his sister's life. And of course, the pandemic has accentuated those feelings of concern about his sister's health. This is somebody he loves a great deal, and he worries about her, particularly since she does smoke. So the image of her dying is something that he has feared is going to happen, that he's going to receive this kind of call from her. And so that wasn't a surprise. It was deeply upsetting for him, but it wasn't particularly surprising. The gift of cigarettes, on the other hand, was very confusing to him. In the dream, he felt, what am I supposed to do with these? Why are you giving these to me? And yet, although he didn't understand in the dream the gift, he didn't ask his sister about it. He kept his questions to himself. When Matt woke up and looked at the dream, he felt frustrated with himself. He felt sad about his sister's impending death, but he felt frustrated with himself that he hadn't asked her the questions like, why are you sending me these cigarettes? What do they mean? In his life, in his family, he has had to learn how to assert himself, how to not over-accommodate. And in this dream, he felt that he was falling into an old pattern of over-accommodating, receiving a gift that was dubious or questionable or somewhat surprising and upsetting. The dream of the cigarettes as a gift was particularly upsetting because Matt has asthma, and last winter in February he had some mysterious respiratory disease that wasn't really properly diagnosed. There wasn't testing yet in Tennessee. He ended up in the emergency room and in urgent care. He was seriously ill and still feels somewhat the effects of it. He's not sure whether he had coronavirus or not because the tests for antibodies are still unreliable, so he hasn't had the test yet. But there is a question that he may have had it. In any case, he is vulnerable because of his asthma. So the gift of cigarettes from his sister is also very questionable. When Matt looked at this dream before we talked, as I said, he saw the grief about his sister and he wasn't surprised about that. But what the dream did bring to his attention was how much he misses her and how much he wants to see her. He had been thinking about the visit before in terms of his daughters getting to have their yearly visit. When he had this dream of losing his sister, he realized how much he needs to see her for his own sake. He needs to be with her. So that was a revelation that the dream gave him. In terms of the cigarettes, he was perplexed since cigarettes would be very damaging for him. But what he did see was that there was a theme in the dream of his sister giving him a gift that was not a gift at all, a gift that could be dangerous to him, or at least would not be helpful to him. When he explored this theme of being given a gift that wasn't really a gift, he looked at their decision that they had made the day before that she would come and visit him with her family. That had seemed like a gift that she was giving him. But when he looked into this more deeply because of the dream, because of being given a gift that was questionable, when he looked into her visit, he realized that this is not something he really wanted to do. He's used to being at home. He's a journalist. He's the lead parent in his family. He does a lot of the cooking for the family. He's used to being at home. However, during the pandemic, he has lost some of the small freedoms that have allowed him to carry out his family tasks. He usually goes to a gym. He has a little brother through little big brothers and sisters organization. He has a little brother he goes to the movies with. He's lost those contacts during the pandemic, and he has missed them, and he's missed the freedom that these activities have given him. He realized, as he thought about this dream, that he is pretty tapped out. He's been at home with his children, being really the lead parent while trying to work, that he hasn't had his normal breaks, his normal ways of replenishing himself. And so the idea of his sister coming, while it sounded good on the surface, he really felt tapped out and didn't feel like he had the resources to be a host for her, to be nurturing to her. And so he had accepted a gift from her that really was not the right gift. This dream helped him to recognize that. He went back to his sister and they talked about another way to work out a visit. And they decided that they would meet halfway and then they would all drive back to St. Louis together. Drive back to Iowa together from St. Louis where they were going to meet. So this dream helped him to identify how much he personally needed to see his sister, and also to identify that the plan that they made initially wasn't the right plan, and he was able to act on the dream and to make a different set of plans with her. So all of this work he had already done before we talked together. I felt that a very mysterious part of the dream was still the gift of cigarettes. When I asked Matt about cigarettes, he talked about his sister still smoking in spite of the fact that she's had cancer. He talked about his own vulnerability to cigarettes given his own asthma. He talked about how in Iowa, when they were at different celebrations, his sister would go outside to smoke, and he would often go out with her to spend time with her and hang out with her when she had her smoke. So he had an association with cigarettes that was a good one with her. He also thought about cigarettes generally as something that could be a memento that maybe she was, because she was a smoker, she was leaving him this as a memento, although he couldn't quite understand why she had chosen this. After he and I had kind of gathered these associations together, I still felt that we hadn't gotten to the bottom of this image, that there was still more to it. When you work your own dreams, you will notice after sitting with your images, associating to them, trying to let them reveal themselves to you, you will reach a point where you feel like, okay, I have enough. There's probably more left. Images are really boundless in terms of all the associations they offer us. But when you work a dream, you get to a place where you're like, okay, this is enough. I really understand enough of what this dream is trying to tell me. Conversely, when you're not as deep as you need to get, there's a feeling like I haven't really gotten to the base of this ship. I felt that about Matt's image of the gift of cigarettes. Even though he had gotten some very valuable information about the dream, he had been able to revamp a plan based on that information. Even though he and I together looked at some of his associations with smoking and cigarettes, in spite of all that, I felt like we weren't at the bottom of it. And so I asked him if he would be willing to do a Gestalt exercise with this dream. I asked him if he'd be willing to become his sister, to sink into her experience and why she was offering him the cigarettes as a gift. He was willing to do this, and he deepened and became silent as he tried to contact why his sister was giving him the gift of cigarettes. What he came up with was that his sister was giving him the cigarettes. She said, I am giving you the cigarettes so that you remember to take care of yourself. This was a kind of revelation that happened in his work on the dream. His sister, says Matt, is a very loving, giving, service-oriented person. Often, though, she is the last person on the list to get care, on her own list to get care. Smoking cigarettes is one way she maybe doesn't take care of herself, but she also often puts herself last. As he explored this image, the meaning of it was that she was saying to him, don't do as I have done. Take care of yourself. Do what you need to take care of yourself. And of course, in his working of the dream, before he and I talked, when he worked it and he called his sister and they made plans again, he had taken care of himself. In the dream, he had held back on his questions. When he woke up, he was frustrated that he hadn't been more direct about his needs, but he saw that pattern in himself of not taking care of himself in the dream or in waking life, and he went back to his sister and he talked to her and they worked something out. This is how our dreams can work for us. They give us images of what we're feeling. These images can be perplexing, but if we stick with them, they reveal deeper levels of what we need to feel and what we need to learn, and they give us a path forward in terms of our lives and in terms of the issues that are embodied in the dream. Thank you for being with me. Enjoy your dreams. Delve deeply into the messages they are giving you. Thank you.